so quickly. This isn't happening towards the end of President Trump's term. I think the leverage Trump might have had then might have been quite different.
That's right, because Mr. Trump had tremendous leverage because the next election will be several years away. And Mr. Moon as well, he just began his presidency and he has 4 more years to go. So this is a very important moment for these two leaders to take the advantage of the momentum. So they really want to keep the momentum going on. Not just this particular meeting in Singapore, but also the possible next one maybe in North Korea, in Pyongyang or Washington, D.C., or even Mar-a-Lago Resort in Florida.
And we could assume what the two leaders would be talking as for their agenda for the talks today, but one of them would be the talks of denuclearization, and also the U.S. officials from the ground have said that the two sides are working towards a joint statement following their summit today. What can we expect from that?
Because there was a speculation. There was Mr. Pompeo saying in his update that they're going to agree on the joint statement, which will definitely contain something related to the CVID and CVIG, or maybe just a guidelines for these very important kind of timetable on their way down for the next maybe 2 or 3 years. So I think there's a kind of very broad consensus on CVID. I think the most important part of the CVID, CVIZ is actually 2 parts, the complete part and also the permanent part. So this will be definitely on their joint statement.
Now, we are seeing there that now both Kim Jong-un and President Trump are both at the summit venue. Unfortunately, we are still yet to see any video of either of the leaders even getting in their cars today. Unfortunately, it's done, it's all very hush-hush at the moment. Perhaps, hopefully, when we get to the time, 10 a.m. Korea time, that's 9 a.m. in Singapore, we'll be getting some more images rather than just looking at a car park in Singapore. But Hee-jun, while we're talking now, this isn't just about the United States and North Korea. This is about the world, clearly, but also there are the regional players involved here. South Korea, which we've touched upon, President Moon's feelings about this summit and what he's trying to do to bring peace to the Korean Peninsula, and we really hope that he can achieve that goal. But there are also countries like Japan, Russia and China who are watching this extremely carefully. I know Russia has kind of been on the sidelines, or seems to be at least. Lavrov recently went to Pyongyang for a meeting.
Vice versa with his foreign minister.
Yeah, we don't know too much about that meeting, but pretty sure Lavrov had plenty to say. He's quite a character. Tell us a little bit more, Hee-jun, if you wouldn't mind, about what Japan and China are thinking about this and what they would like to see. And also, as a sub-question to that, do you expect Abe at some point to hold his own summit with Kim Jong-un?
Well, first of all, talking about China, China's been highly involved in what's been going on the Korean Peninsula. And Chinese President Xi Jinping has been saying numerous times that he wants this summit to be a very big success. And he's been, I think, behind the scenes, been helping out, trying to make the summit happen as well, although President Trump doesn't like his involvement. But China, as a country that doesn't want destabilization in North Korea, would want something to happen smoothly, right? Because North Korea nuclear provocations was not just a big factor, a negative factor for the United States and South Korea, but also for China. And it doesn't want a war, especially because of the millions of North Koreans flying into China. That would be something that definitely not good for that country. But I heard from an expert a very interesting point. He said that it's not just war that would be destabilizing the Korean Peninsula, and rather it could also be peace, because for decades it's been we've been in the middle of war technically, and it's not over yet. So rather having peace and ending the war could really cause a big change on the Korean Peninsula. And I actually wanted to ask Dr. Kim about this point. Do you have any thoughts on how peace could actually be bringing unknown consequences?
Sure, no question about that, because we have been so accustomed to all this kind of military confrontation between the two Koreas, and also with China and Japan. But now we are going to put an end to the decades-long hostility between North Korea and the United States, and also with South Korea as well. So there will be a tremendous change in our perception of North Korea, and also the Chinese perception of North Korea as well. So we have to be accustomed and adjust ourselves to a new changing atmosphere, not just physically, but also visually and diplomatically. So this is a very serious challenge for both of us, sort of say, because this is just a new phenomenon to us. And I think it will take maybe a long time. We just made a first step toward this totally different change in our relations. But I think we can. So go ahead.
And Mark also brought up that while he was asking Heejun about it, it's not just the two sides that we're talking about, North Korea and the U.S. We're talking about regional players, like Mark said, a South Korean president holding a... Hold on, I think that photo that we're seeing right now is probably the location and the backdrop of which the two leaders will be standing, probably holding a handshake, having their first meet and greet with both their flags, national flags, all set up as their backdrop. So that's presumably the place that we'll be seeing in the moment's time. But going back, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has flown into Singapore on a Chinese plane.
Sure. China, yeah.
Something significant, indirectly telling his summit counterparts today that maybe he is not alone in this talk. And also, U.S. President Donald Trump holding a phone conversation with South Korean President Moon Jae-in the night before the summit with North Korean leader Kim, probably asking for last-minute advice. Who knows? So something to note of these two leaders, although there's just two of them who will be going into that meeting today with just interpreters from the start on, we also have to understand that the regional players are also with them, not physically, but in terms of something in unity as something that they want this summit to be down the road.
And Semin, I just wanted to talk about that image there. It's quite unbelievable to see the stars and stripes there next to the North Korean flag. Who would have thought that would be at this point? And it really is kind of breathtaking when you think about it. And hopefully we will see President Trump and Kim Jong-un come out shortly and give their handshakes, and we'll see how the first impression between them really goes. Talking a bit more about Xi Jinping then, he's had two summits with Kim Jong-un, one in Beijing and one in Dalian, and they had a nice walk down the beach during their second chat. Perhaps Xi Jinping liked the optics of the N.Korean summit there. Dr. Kim, do you think Xi Jinping plays a good role or has a kind of bad influence on this process? Do you think he's talking in Kim's ear and basically saying, look, I'll take care of you, you don't have to go along with everything Washington says?
Playing Big Brother.
Yeah, just like playing the role of Big Brother, because China is a Big Brother. It's the economic powerhouse, number 2 economy in the whole world.
Sorry, I think we are seeing some movement at the front of the Capella Hotel in Sentosa Island, where the historic summit between the two leaders of North Korea and the U.S. are to kick off in moments' time.
Kim Yong-chol.
Kim Yong-chol, that is, North Korea's right-hand man for the leader Kim Jong-un. He's also the one who had visited the U.S. about a week ago.
The White House, yeah.
Having met with U.S. President Donald Trump prior to the historic summit today, and also handing him that giant envelope, handwritten letter by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, trying to make and trying to thaw that spice that they had experienced a couple moments ago.
Yeah, Kim Yong-chol was the former spy chief in North Korea, and we know that he's one of Kim Jong-un's most trusted aides, so a very important official in North Korea. So we are waiting for the handshake and there is presumably the photo zone where they will take their photo before starting their first meeting. And what a day. So let's talk a bit more about the work that's been done ahead of this summit. Dr. Kim, can you just walk us through briefly, and please understand if we do have to cut you off during your comments.
I don't mind.
But can you just give us a bit more detail for our international viewers? What kind of negotiations have been going on behind the scenes? Because if you haven't been keeping up to date on the latest news out of Korea, we do this every day. We perhaps don't understand that people don't pay attention as much as we do. But can you give us some idea of the behind-the-scenes work Sung Kim and the North Korean delegations have been doing?
Yes, it's one of the 3 channels that they had for the last 2 months, I guess. And one in New York City at the UN headquarters, and also one is at Panmunjom, and also the other one in Singapore. So there are the 3 different working channels working on to make this kind of a success, a big success rather, because that's why Mr. Trump said it's going to be a big success. It's going to end within 3 years. So he's scheduled to fly out to the States at 8 p.m. local time. So this is, and Mr. Kim also made it very clear. He also employed his own version of maximum pressure and engagement, because he said, I'm going to depart around 1 or 2 p.m. local time. But then be taken as a kind of pressure on Mr. Trump, but also it's a sign that everything has been well prepared, and we are able to put a kind of signature on the document, something. So you never know. You're going to see it in a couple of hours.
And Hee-jun, do you have anything to add to that?
So to briefly go over the morning schedule for the 2 leaders. So for Korea time, 10 a.m., right? The 2 leaders are going to meet, and at 10:15, it's reported that the 2 leaders will be having a one-on-one for approximately 45 minutes. And at 11, the aides, their closest aides, including Kim Yong-chol and Mike Pompeo, will be joined to the summit. And after their talk, they'll be having a working lunch. Maybe there'll be a hamburger. I don't know.
Nobody knows what'll be on the table.
And that lunch will take place at approximately 12:30. And there's possibly going to be a press conference for each side, but we don't know the time yet. But hopefully not late, not too late in the afternoon.
So reports are saying that potentially even Kim Jong-un could make some comments after the meeting.
Sure, we are expecting, and hopefully there'll be a lot of questions for North Korean side.
But nothing's confirmed at this point,
not
I
yet.
believe, is because it's hard to presume